Folks, what the crap's going on? Welcome to the Battle of Velothri, where we're going to have Pontus taking on Carthage. This is an interesting one because I don't know if we've seen Pontus in a battle since I've started showing the Rome 2 battles again, so I'm really curious to see them come into play. They're kind of like a mostly Eastern faction with maybe a hair of a Greek touch to it, right? And then, of course, Carthage we've seen multiple times, but, you know, hey, I'm never upset when I get to see Carthage in a replay, even though they're not the world's best faction on here. Now, let's take a look at the Pontic army. Now, one of the things they can bring to the table is horse archers, and we see that here. And we're going to have 3 mercenary Scythian horse archers. These are going to provide really good missile damage at 40, decent range at 125, so a dangerous unit indeed. Now, let's take a look at the front line. Pontus can bring some really nice skirmishers, including these Eastern archers. So the Eastern Archers are a nice cheap archer unit that provides good damage and range. Looks like we're going to see 3 of them. There are also Eastern Slingers available to Pontus, I believe, which, again, are good skirmishers for the price. There's some mercenary Celtic warriors making up a front line, so a little bit of a barbarian element there. Is that a 4th Scythian horse archer? No, they just... Yeah, it is. So there's 4 Scythian horse archers. Okay. Looks like they're going to split 2 to each flank. Now, Pontus does have access to some excellent cavalry. I believe both shock and melee, if I remember properly. These Cappadocian cavalry are a really nice heavy melee cavalry, really good when you get them in after a charge into other horses, or good at disrupting lighter infantry formations, or just unbraced infantry in general. There's the Pontic Royal Cavalry here. Now, this is going to be a shock cavalry. It's going to be doing huge damage on the charge. Pretty good melee attack, but like with most shock cavalry, it lacks almost any melee defense. We're going to have another Cappadocian over there too. So 3 heavy cavalry right there that we can see, and then the 4 horse archers. And then let's see, Pontic swordsmen are going to be making up the main infantry line, I believe, as well as some bronze shield pikemen. Oh, the bronze shield. So that's the little bit of Alexandrian touch that comes into Pontus. So they're going to be a back line, and they're flanked by Pontic swords. Now, Pontic swords are pretty subpar mid-tier swords. That's one of the things. So Pontus cannot hold a main line for very long. They can skirmish well, and they have decent cavalry. So let's go take a look at Carthage here, see what they brought today. So there are some mercenary Gallic warriors here, it looks like up their left flank. And then we're going to run into Libyan infantry. So the main line, I can see Libyan, or Samnites mixed in there. So 2 Samnites. And then Libyans. So I think that's a total of 4 Libyans and 2 Samnites, 2 Gauls, and then it looks like a couple of Iberian swordsmen. These guys have extra javelins, and in real life, I believe these kind of characters could have been carrying the all-iron Soliferum javelin, which would have been an interesting one, where it's like a single iron javelin. I don't know if that's the way the game represents it, but fun stuff there. The Iberians, they had some cool weapons. There's a hidden contingent back, or no, they were maybe hidden, but they're not anymore. So we got more Iberians and Gauls here, so that is a lot of kind of light infantry mixed in here for Carthage. There's a couple of Numidian nobles. These are some very dangerous skirmishers, though. They will want to keep their distance from the horse archers. And then over here we've got some mercenary Numidians, which are quick enough to threaten the horse archers, but will want to stay out of range. And it looks like that's what they're trying to do here, though. They did take some damage already. Horse archers, when microed properly, are very dangerous and very frustrating. So interesting here, Carthage only has 1 cavalry unit for melee. Now, Numidian nobles can double into certain melees if they go in uncharged. That is a noble cavalry for Carthage. This is a shock cavalry, not a particularly good one either. So Carthage's shock cavalry is not very amazing by any stretch of the imagination. So Carthage holds a massive heavy infantry advantage, and a numbers advantage in terms of infantry. So what Pontus is going to have to do if it wants to win is cause extraordinary damage with its horse archers, use its cavalry to good effect, and they're going to have to keep their skirmishers alive till late in the game and avoid a conflict for as long as they can, which does appear to be what they're doing. There's some focus fire coming into the Samnite warriors here. Let's see what's going on the flank. It looks like the horse archers are now picking at the Numidian nobles, but they have really been chipping into that Libyan infantry. Would have been better for the Libyans if these lighter infantry units would have been out on the flank, but still, that was a nice javelin toss there. Killed 11 horse archers, and it's going to take their ammo with them. The Numidians over here are getting desperate, coming up to try and push this cavalry back, and it is not good. And then the Carthaginian general, this is just pure suicide out here at the moment. That Pontic cavalry needs to just turn around and give it to them, because these guys are really asking for some swift death in their lives by charging ahead. So the Carthaginian general has definitely gone Leroy Jenkins here, and no doubt it's not long for this world, as he was countercharged by Cappadocian cavalry, which is going to absolutely shred them. Did manage to catch some of the horse archers, which was nice for them, and the Numidian nobles are going to come and try and support, but the Carthaginian general is going to have to pull out of here and pull out quickly. Nice catch, though. Did get the horse archers, and the Cappadocian cavalry is taking a little damage. Let's see, the Pontic swords the Celtic warriors engaged with the Carthaginian mainline. I like how we're going to push the pikes through your own infantry. That is certainly one way to use them. I know it doesn't make historical lovers happy, but at the same time, like, it's probably the most effective way to use pikes in a multiplayer setting. You use another infantry to fix something, and then you just push through with your own pikes to start to get the kills. So Carthage has somehow managed to keep their general alive. Pontus pulled the rest of its cavalry back, probably out of interest of keeping its skirmishers alive. So this is what Carthage needed. They needed an early and decisive engagement. These pikes are actually making that really hard on the Libyans, and the Samnites here. The Samnites are getting crushed by bronze shield pikemen at the moment. Yeah, I mean, they are getting really hurt bad. They're going to need to wait for reinforcements to help outflank. Now, Carthage has some more of its units free. Pontus has pulled back as best it can. The skirmish fire continues to come in, and it's taking a toll. Carthage is losing infantry at a rapid clip here. These pikemen are now going to be a little more at risk because they don't have a unit to help keep them free. Carthage is definitely threatening this flank, so those Numidian nobles and the general kind of coming through that flank. If the archers go down, Pontus is in serious trouble. And even with the archers alive, Pontus is going to need to get some really efficient work done here. The general goes head-to-head with a Pontic Royal Cav and a Cappadocian cavalry, and that is not going to be good for the Carthaginian general, depending on how that charge went down. Probably not. The Numidians were coming in to support, but it looks like the Pontic general is going to pull back and look for a cycle charge, and I think that's appropriate. These Numidians have very high attack. They don't have a bonus versus large, but they do have javelins, and they have very high attack and decent armor. When they come into a fight afterwards, they can cause a fair bit of damage. The Carthaginian general is kind of risking his life here. These pikes have actually been really quite effective up front. So this unit's got 78 kills and 42 kills on this pike over here, and it's continuing to push against that Samnite warrior. Pontus is falling apart a little bit on the flanks, but Carthage is taking a massive toll, or a loss on infantry. In fact, their right flank has just completely collapsed. So Pontus now has a few more infantry troops that can collapse back towards the center. Their Numidian cavalry is now stuck on Cappadocian cavalry and melee, and it's just not a great place for them to be. The Carthaginian general bought the farm, it looks like, routed and died. So that's going to be hurting the morale, and I think Pontus is going to just straight up turn this one around. It looked like a great initial assault, but I'd say a couple of things happened here for Carthage. One, they did not get to the archers, and the archers continued to cause extraordinary damage. And then these pikemen actually bossed it out in the middle of that fight and stopped a breakthrough of the Samnites. And so, I'm not going to say this very often, but the pikes ended up being a pretty critical unit here and were nicely played. They prevented a breakthrough in the center of the army, and it was just enough to help Pontus hold it together while their archers went ahead and did the damage needed. I mean, look at the kills on the archers over here. This one got charged by a cavalry, but it still has 102 kills, 65 kills there, 135 kills there. Look at it just mowing down units as it goes. So, I mean, excellent work by the Eastern archers here. And like I said, not often that we're going to see a pikeman come in clutch, or in this case, two pikemen come in clutch. I mean, this one over here has 100 kills and not a single loss. That is 100-0 on the loss ratio there. That's an infinite kill to death ratio. And we're 93-2 on this unit. That is an impressive performance. Interesting battle there for Pontus and Carthage. I mean, Carthage certainly could have been deadly there because they had so many troops. I think the right flank attack lagged a little bit. When he went to assault the Pontic army, his right flank was lagging behind the main force. Had that force been immediately available to push through that right flank, that might have made things different there because Carthage could have come around the flank of those pikemen they could have pressured the archers and caused a little more trouble. So Carthage might have pulled this off had they had that right flank coordinated a little bit better with the rest of the main army, because they did initially cause a lot of damage. Ultimately, the cavalry, which I thought was going to go against Carthage in that first engagement, did not. But it did ultimately turn against them in the cavalry fight, though I have to give them credit. They got more accomplished than I thought they would in that cavalry fight. So kudos to Carthage, the Carthaginian player on that one. And again, these Samnites were just utterly shut down. They were not given an opportunity to be effective. So I think that given the chance to run this one again, I would like to see the light infantry, like the shielded Celtic warriors, working in front of a couple of Iberians, and then leave the heavy infantry in the middle, charge the middle, immediately work the light infantry around the flanks, and use it as needed to support a cavalry fight, and basically just put too much pressure on the Pontic flanks. And although in the middle, you wouldn't necessarily get that breakthrough immediately because of the pike support, if the flank gets too much pressure, the pikes will have to pay attention there, and then you might get a breakthrough in the middle. So it's an interesting idea that Carthage went for here, just weight of numbers and infantry, and it can work at times. In this case, it did not. I think Pontus managed to do what they needed to do. The archers, like I said, ended up being very important here and really clutched them out of victory. But hey, kudos to those pikes. Check it out. And even with that performance, they didn't even give the pikes a chevron. So rip, rest in pieces. But there we go. Pike coming in handy for once. HeirofCarthage signing up for now. I'll see you all soon with some more action.